Dylan Edwards back in. Look, I don't think there's much to speak about this. I thought he was going to be there anyway. I will say he looked a bit rusty's the wrong word because he hasn't been out of playing a league for that long. I feel like his last 3 games of NRL, he probably hasn't been playing as well as he did to start the season. So I was watching the game. If I was being hypercritical about Dylan Edwards yesterday, going, look, he's absolutely the man for the job, but he did just to look a little bit like let's say he has been a 10 out of 10 to start for most of the year. I reckon he's been at about an 7.5, 8 out of 10 for about 3 weeks now.
I actually, based on the standards he says, I don't think Rusty was unfair. That's what I sort of thought over the last few weeks too.
Sorry, not that. So rusty is probably the wrong word to use because it's like rusty is if he hasn't played rugby league for a while. But I think that he's, in regards to what rusty means of his standard of footy.
Compared to his standard, 100%. Yeah. I agree. I mean, he didn't play a bad game yesterday afternoon or anything. But I still think he's the obvious choice. He was the guy for game 1. Teddy had his opportunity, in my opinion, didn't take it with 2 hands. So it has to be Edwards.
What do you reckon?
Yeah, very excited about it and made complete sense. As Guru said, Teddy had his opportunity to keep the spot. Granted, with 12 blokes, didn't have a lot of favours, but yeah, he wasn't at his best. And Dylan Edwards, who was picked for this specific side, and it's funny because we did so much of a preview into it with him in the team, and now we're going back to it, but he hasn't played yet. So, mate, I'm very happy to see him there. Can't wait to see what he does on the Origin stage. And yeah, I think with this entire team, he just fits in beautifully.
Yeah, it's going to... Mitchell Moses with Dylan Edwards, Mitchell Moses and Luai. I wonder, do you think he's usually on the right side?
Right side.
Right side. Do you think he'll swing both sides, or do you think they'll have a pretty... Because Luai was on the left side.
The fact that it's got... Yeah, so Luai's left, and Brian To'o on the left as well. The fact that at club level, I know it's different and you've got different halves combinations there, but... I would imagine he plays a pretty similar role that he does at NRL level for the Panthers, and he'll spend the majority of his time in attacking ball going down the right edge. Maybe he goes down the left a little bit, but we don't really see it that often with him.
I'd rather see the halves more link up on that left edge, play together down there.
Okay, so you park him out on that right edge essentially, and then you get Mitchell Moses to link up with Luai on the left
Especially when you got Gus and Latrell out there.
Yep. I tell you what, just early ball.
I've made 100%.
Yeah.
Seeing the exact same. You don't need to overthink it. Jerome Luai needs to play direct, engage defenders, and just give them early ball. Don't need to overthink it, do they? Because between Crichton and Latrell Mitchell, they don't need anything special. Just give them a bit of space, a bit of time to weave them.
Seriously, all you need to do if you're Luai, it sounds really simple, if you can just hold your defender and give them a ball early enough where they can make decisions as to what they're going to do with their lines. They might not score that try, that tackle. They're probably someone's going to score 2 tackles later because of quick play of the ball.
They're big enough weapons out there. You don't even need to create. You just need to get them one-on-one.
Just get them one-on-one and just have either if Edwards does swing around and just floats around them, just to be there for an offload, maybe. But yeah, I think you just get early ball to go.
So with that left edge as well, and I think it'll be an important part of this game at some point. Jerome Luai's running game over the last few weeks with all the eyes on that edge. He could terrorise them.
Yeah, it's going to be. It's just that kind of tier above that Crichton and Latrell can offer. It is scary to think they're going to be together. And if you're a defender looking up, going, "Holy shit, I've got Crichton and Latrell coming at me," and To'o, it's going to be tough. It's a tough night at the office. Let's put it that way.
Do you want to wait for Queensland? Do you think he maybe moves his?
We'll wait for Queensland. Okay. Mitchell Moses brought in for Nicho Hynes. Similar-ish to Edwards to a degree. I actually think his last 2 games, he's been solid, but he didn't close out the Bulldogs game in the second half. He was really good the first half. And then against the Roosters, he had his moments, but it was actually more Dylan Brown for me that kind of swung that game in their favour for a period. So another guy that absolutely deserves to be there, but has been a little bit quiet the last couple of games.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I was out at the Parramatta game the other night and just watching the way that Mitch Moses just dictate, he's a halfback's halfback.
Yeah,
Mitch Moses, and being out, I know they didn't win the game and he didn't come up with those big plays, but everyone at Parramatta just knows their role at every moment during the game because Mitch Moses, he is so vocal, and I feel very confident with his selection.
Also feel more confident. I think it was the right decision. And if you look at the team now, outside of potentially Latrell, it's pretty well the team they would have picked for game one, I think, prior to injuries occurring. So I think, firstly, I don't think we've seen the last of Nicho Hynes in the Origin Arena. I think he's going to get better year on year. He's still not that old, and I think he'll have his place in time. But Mitch Moses is the right option now, and he just brings a more experienced head, especially as a halfback. Kicking game's a big one. I have so much more confidence with Mitchy Moses' kicking game, his ability to close out sets, come up with the right decision. His long kicking game's really good as well. I think Mitchy's shown his ability to perform in big games. I don't think he'll be overwhelmed by it. I feel very good about having Mitchy Moses come back into that side.
Hammy, what do you reckon, mate?
Yeah, I think I actually agree with Timmy there on Nicho Hynes. I reckon he'll be back at some stage as well. It's interesting, the 2 stints he's had in Origin, there's always been like something to go away and work on. So the first one was probably the defence, and that's like gotten a lot better this year. This time around, probably the thing where Moses has got the jump on him is the kicking game. So I'm sure he'll go away and work on that. And he's already got so many other ingredients that are a lot harder to learn as a halfback under control already. So I'm actually with you there. It's interesting, Edwards and Moses, I reckon they're 2 of about probably 4 selections in this team that they wanted for game one but couldn't have due to injury and stuff like that. Coming into that game, the game one, Edwards, I agree, he was in a lot better form. Moses as well. He's shown some little glimpses, but I'm not sure that he's probably shown the form that he had leading into his injury break that, definitely demanded selection. But if the thing that they're after out of their number 7 is, a better kicking game, I think he was still probably the right way to go for game 2.
And the other factor to it as well, you mentioned defence there, but I just feel so much more comfortable with Mitchy Moses in the defensive line than Nicho Hynes. Like you mentioned, Hammy, Nicho from last year to this year, his defence has come on tenfold, but as it stands, Mitch Moses is a better defender at 3-man than Hynes is. And I allude to it a few times and refer back to it, but there was that 2-game stretch where he had to, couple of years ago, up against Dave Fafita, and he'd had a few issues defensively, Mitchy, like a bit of a smaller body in the halves, and it was just like, felt almost career defining where he goes, all right, if I'm going to become an elite number 7 in this game and become a regular for the Blues, I need to get my defence in order. And there were 2 weeks in a row, one for the Eels and then one for the Blues, where he just did a tremendous defensive job on Dave Fafita, the best, most damaging attacking back row in the game. I think off the back of that, he hasn't looked back. His defence ever since then has been rock solid.
I think it's that coincides with when Joey was helping him at the Eels. His defence just got substantially better because that was really what was stopping him from becoming an elite 7. Was probably big game moments and his defence. And his defence since then, put it this way, been at least 3 years since I've gone this season, last season, maybe even the season before, where I've ever worried about Mitchell Moses' defence going into a big game.
Yeah, and you'll even look at the team now. I remember before game 1, you sort of see it going, all right, where are the defensive weaknesses in the Blues? You meant they'll be attacking Nicho Hynes. We spoke about it at nauseam before it. They'll be going at him. They'll be going at like Joseph Suaalii out of position. You now put Latrell Mitchell back to centre. You look at Mitchy Moses at 7. Across the board, it's a pretty rock solid team. That there's no areas that stand out that go, all right, the Maroons could have a field day through this spot or this spot. It's a very well-rounded defensive outfit.
Yeah. Well, when I look at that side, really, the only thing defensively that I can look at, and I go, probably Jake Trbojevic laterally isn't that quick. Outside of that, but then obviously Trbojevic makes up with it with his great technique, doesn't miss tackles. But outside of that, there's not really a defensive weakness there. There really isn't on the starting side. Given
what we had, the guys that we could choose from, this is just about the happiest I've been with the Blues team. Maybe ever, honestly.
Yeah, it's actually, when you think about it, even though there were big decisions made, I'm not shocked or I don't know how this is going to work out, or it's actually it all kind of fits in place quite well for what that he's going for.